Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, what's up, everybody who's tuned in tonight? Really appreciate it. We are episode 42 of AEZ All Elite Zone here on YouTube. Every Tuesday night, we like to get together and talk a bit of wrestling. And always a pleasure to have, I would say, my co host, since we're together every week. Adam, how are you doing, sir? How's your week been? And how's the new job treating you?
Good. Actually, just got promoted to a new role, which is pretty good. But yeah, no, always excited to be on here. I guess that makes me an honorary Canadian.
Absolutely. It does in my books. It does in my books. Great. And Tank Diggs, one of the originals, old school that used to be on the show quite often, is gracing us with his presence tonight. And welcome, Tank. And how's it been going?
It's been going pretty good. Been staying pretty busy with comedy, and I've been able to get on stage and play some music shows as well over the last little bit. So I wanted to check in with you guys and dabble my feet in the waters of AEW and crack on about some good stuff in the ring.
Yeah, absolutely. You get those the creative juices flowing in every aspect, right? So why not just talk wrestling and add it some creative juice there? So, but no, it's good. Thanks for joining us, guys, tonight. And as we are on the road to a Forbidden Door, which is coming up in the next couple of weeks, we're kind of looking at some of the storylines and some of the action, in AEW in the last couple of weeks, kind of leading up to it. And as always. We always love to give our predictions, and there's so many potential predictions that we can do. And we just now we're watching to see if any of our predictions are coming true. So we're getting close, Adam. I think we're on a few of these. We're not wrong on some. I guess I'll start off kind of to something that we've been talking about for weeks and kind of wondering where it was going, but we got our answer. When it came to Orange Cassidy coming to the ring when Don Callis had this past week, or actually last week on Dynamite. We thought, well, is this potential? Are we going to see the heel turn of Orange Cassidy and join the Don Callis family? Again, not surprising. She rips up the contract, but who comes in to, kind of clean up and do business for the Callis family is Trent Beretta, which again, not surprising, but it was kind of an interesting twist there because we've talked about it. There's Chris Statlander coming down there with Stokely, kind of like trying to describe what's happening here. So kind of an interesting dynamic, but I don't know. I'm actually a little more interested now. Adam, what are your thoughts on this? Where do you
Yeah, yeah. I liked it. It definitely kind of picks up but of where they buried Trent, where a lot of people are saying, oh, he's lost twice. Now I feel like he's buried. This is just another layer to his story as far as joining up with the Don Callis family. Because we have to remember Don Callis' family, they're kind of down to almost one now, which is basically Takesha.
Well, Kyle.
But you don't see Kyle a lot. You don't see Kyle Fletcher a lot except for Ring of Honor, hence with him being the Ring of Honor TV champ. But you don't see him a lot on the Dynamites and the Rampage or the Collision with the family much. So obviously with Hobbs out with injury, you kind of have to keep adding people to the family. And so I thought this was a nice twist. I, like most, would have thought, yeah, maybe this is a heel turn for Orange, who's coming back out to the Pixies. Where is my mind? Kind of reverting back to his old kind of gimmick. And so seeing Trent coming out, and I think my favorite two moments in that segment was, the Chris Statlander coming out, throwing a curveball saying, no, my friend is going to join your group. He's going to sign the contract. But it wasn't Orange. It was Trent, which goes back to my saying of what did Trent whisper into Chris's ear, that backstage segment. And then two, I'm sorry, I'm a sucker for it, but when him and Trent and Don Callis hugged and the camera zoomed back to kind of make fun of the whole give the people what they want. I loved it. I loved it. It was almost like, oh, this is just full circle of him breaking up with his best friends and joining Evil Mastermind. So I'm kind of intrigued where this goes. And obviously I think we get a third match between Trent and Orange, possibly either at Forbidden Door or on a Dynamite Collision with some type of, stipulation to it, whether it be like a lights out match or something like that. So I'm really intrigued to see where they go with it.
You know what sorry, go ahead, Tank. You want to comment?
Yeah, sure. So, wow, how did I lose my train of thought already? That was quick. Yeah, so I think a lot of people wanted to see Orange be the one to turn, like you guys are alluding to, you guys conversated about in past. But I think Trent did need it more. I know from reports, they were actually both working heel. I don't know if they do. Do they still do house shows? Do they do house shows at all?
They haven't announced a lot of them, but I know they were doing some. I don't know with now their tight schedule, so many pay-per-views coming up that they've kind of cut back on house shows.
Because I kind of distinctly remember that a couple of weeks back that they were reporting that they were both working heel during house shows, kind of like testing the waters. So we may not be done. Orange may still even join in a couple weeks. Like even Adam alluded to, we love to pick apart stories when they're not like being done. You're like in one phase of the story, and we're already like making things final. And I kind of wanted to see Wheeler. I don't know where Wheeler is right now. I'm assuming he's in ROH full time. But Wheeler was obviously back then. He was part of the best friends, and especially with bringing Stanlander back in, I thought it would have been also a nice touch to bring Wheeler on as well, and just kind of show like the whole original team back at it, trying to stop it from imploding.
Yeah. So, hey, Amer,
Hi, everyone.
how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Good, good. Yeah. So, Tank. So, as far as I know, isn't Wheeler? I thought he was just injured, but he's still part of the BCC, as far as I know. Adam, were you in the same?
Yeah. So from reports, I'm saying he was still injured. I don't know when he's going to be cleared. I think he's getting close to it. If not, he already is. They just are trying to figure out where to integrate him in the story wise. Obviously, being in the Blackpool Combat Club at one point, and now that group has kind of gone in their kind of own story way. So I don't know how you integrate Wheeler back into that. Do you integrate him back into what's going on with Trent and Orange, since those are the people that brought him in? So as far as my knowledge right now, Wheeler is either 100% healed with no storyline put into it, or is still rehabbing an injury that might have been more serious than most people thought.
Yeah, no,
just to clarify, I didn't necessarily mean for him to like take part in the storyline. Just more to like how Statlander kind of had a little part to play and like checked in because I'm sure you guys know she used to or still does date Orange. And so obviously she was part of the crew as well from the very beginning. So like I said, just a little homage to the very beginning crew. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I do actually like, and I actually really like when Trent, he was in the full black suit. It just like with how Don Callis is. Actually, I think it could be a great pairing. I think if you have, because again, Don Callis, they're going to have this tag team. So I actually think Beretta and Takeshita could make a good team. Especially in the all black. I think they could really complement each other since Hobbs is out, and if Kyle Fletcher, like you said, is spending more time in Ring of Honor, I think that would be a really good tag team together if they need the tag. So I think it was a good move. There was I don't know if you noticed, a bit of a picturesque like scene there at the end, right? It was the hug. And you had Orange Cassidy almost like gripping at the leg, like he's on the ground. So I'm sure you'll see a nice that picture, right? Because you've got him at the ankles, like, and the guys are hugging, right? So I was like, oh, that's perfect for the cameras for that. So no, but I like that. I think this is a perfect fit for Beretta. I think, again, we've talked about it. He would need he would do well having a mouthpiece like a Don Callis. So in this instant heat, right? Even more heat than he's had. So, I'm actually interested now. So I think we have more of a direction because we weren't sure what was going, but now it was good. So no, I like what's happening. Amer, did you have any thoughts on the heel turn and where you see like Beretta as being part of the Callis family?
I think it's interesting just in terms of the fact that, look, it's something new. Let's kind of see where it goes. Certainly it wasn't really going anywhere before. Right? I mean, I think we can all agree on that. You probably spent the better part of the last 5 minutes discussing exactly that. So yeah, I'm interested to see where it leads. I think you're right. You made a good point. I was thinking the same thing. Trent Beretta needs somebody to do the talking for him. I hope that they can find ways to generate interest in Trent Beretta as part of that group, because it's been kind of snake bit, to be very honest, right? So I don't know. It remains to be seen. It's a positive step. Put it like that. That's my feeling.
And so I think one of the things is what you're saying, yeah, like I think the Beretta, because he's coming into it already started a storyline, as opposed to, like you mentioned, like Wheeler Yuta is coming back. Oh, he's been gone, and now he's just put there. Like, at least they've done the progression with Beretta to make sense, right? So he's already started his own heat, and then he gets the heat already with the Callis family heat, right? As opposed to, oh, they're just sticking them together for the sake of it, right? So I do like the way they've actually put this together, because it actually makes sense and it brings more of a really rich like storyline. So
it's better than usual. Yes, I agree.
Right. I like because they brought them together better. If you look at how Hobbs joined, there wasn't much storyline really to it, not like this. So I do like. I do like how they've done this part. So which is great. So I'm actually looking forward to that. I kind of wanted to touch on last week, the main event for Dynamite, and which was, to me, a pay-per-view quality match, and one of the best matches I've actually probably seen in a while, or was really entertained by, was the Gauntlet match last week on Dynamite. And I guess it's the winner of the Gauntlet match got the title shot against Swerve Strickland at Forbidden Door. So there was a lot on the line here. I thought it was very entertaining, and it just was a complete, from my standpoint, a showcase of what AEW can deliver. And like, even they had the guys are coming in, went from CMLL,
CMLL,
yeah, kind of threw a couple guys in, because I kind of thought it was neat, because it's like they're trying to do a Forbidden Door international style pay-per-view, so they brought in some international talent to be part of this, right? Because you guys had guys from everywhere being part of this, which is great. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was actually one of the best matches I've seen in a while. And I was super happy that it happened, right? Because again, for all the flack that AEW gets, this was like, if you're a wrestling fan and you weren't entertained by this, then I don't know what would have worked for you. Adam, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, you know what? Gauntlet matches are hit or miss for me. And I know it confuses a lot of people. And the rules of it were kind of confusing at one point, but the talent that were involved kind of elevated it for me. I'll be totally honest, I pretty much lost it when Mystico showed up. I was even though he botched a lot, I was a big Sin Cara fan in the WWE. I loved his high flying stuff, and the entrance was really cool, coming down the ramp, like bouncing off the trampoline into the ring.
Yeah,
and he kind of fixed him. He went to CMLL, kind of honed in on the craft and kind of fixed everything that made him botch in WWE. He's cleaned it up. I mean, you saw it in the Gauntlet match. He looked clean in everything that he did. Leo Rush was another surprise. I know we had seen him before. We just hadn't seen him in a while. Mm-hmm. And then, the icing on the cake of just having my boy, Will Ospreay in it, bruv, I was still iffy on that, but I am glad they're pushing him. If they're going to make him basically a big face of this company, pushing him as much as they are and basically skyrocket, because the crowd's behind him. I mean, anytime he comes out, that crowd is hot. I think between him, MJF, Swerve, I think those three get some of the best crowd reactions you see in AEW, and that's where you kind of got to build, your company around those three guys. And I think the idea of having him win and face Swerve, a lot of people are saying, it's too early. It's too early. Well, I mean, something can always happen at Forbidden Door where, Swerve still keeps the title. You never know. I mean, we don't know. We got to follow the process. It could end up in a double disqualification, a double count out, a time limit draw. We could always go that way, so it's intriguing. And I think people just need to trust the process of that. And, but I agree. I think that Gauntlet match was really fun to watch. You had a lot of good talent in there from, CMLL and then all the independent people, and then even some of your homegrown AEW guys, like a Jay White. I believe Roosh was in there in that match. And so it was so good to see some of your AEW guys in that match as well.
100%. So just to, again, because yes, when you brought it up that the rules can be confusing, I 100% agree. So, okay, so I didn't quite get it because a guy comes out every so often, but if the first guy pins the second guy, is the match over before everyone else gets to come out? It's like, technically.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I was like, oh, okay, well, this doesn't really make sense then, because again, there's no chance that anyone's even going to get pinned because there's no elimination. I get it. I guess if they do that, what's the one with the elimination with the next guy comes out and then whoever pins, they're gone. The next guy, the WWE.
That is a clear cut gauntlet match.
Okay,
is when you're pinned, you're out, and you continue. That's a gauntlet.
Okay, that's what I thought it was. Okay, so to your point, AEW kind of changed the rules a bit and just made it one fall, I
think what they were trying to do too, to kind of pick up on that, was kind of keep you intrigued. Like a pin can happen like right off the bat, and then it's like, oh, it's over. Like we're not going to see a gauntlet match. Like other guys don't get a chance. But the fact that you start off with two guys and have this time where the next person comes out, I mean, there could be near fall, boom, third guy comes out, and then near fall, boom, next guy comes out. No one's been pinned yet. So I think it's that was their idea of putting a twist on the gauntlet.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you think, boys? Did you get a chance to see this one? Any thoughts on the gauntlet match? Any of the wrestlers?
I did. I also like the other wrestler from CMLL. I think he had a very, very good showing. I don't want to try and butcher his name, but it was something like Escachera or something like that. He had some really nice spots. He looked good. He looked like he belonged with and amongst the other talent. It was really an international feel. Like Jay White is obviously a Kiwi. Cesaro was in there, who we claim in the racial draft as Italian, but as we all know is Swiss. The couple Mexicans. Who else was in there?
Oh, we had
Leo
Pat.
Rush.
Yeah, Pat. Leo Rush. Jay White, Osprey, a couple of the CMLL guys.
So I loved it for the aspect that it was like very international. Like that is the belt that they were going for, correct? Like not the intercontinental, but the continental title.
Right.
No, it was for a world title shot.
Oh, it's for the world title.
Yeah, it was to face Swerve.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So touching on that real quick, I don't want him, obviously, like everybody else. I don't want Osprey to go over yet. Like he's got to go over at Wembley. That's got to be the crowning moment. Like they can't stray from that. That's the crowning. He's made it. This is his top of the mountain moment, and there he is.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can start building.
Aimer?
Yeah, the match was fun. It was nice to watch. I like watching it, but I'm just at the point, I'm that dated wrestling fan. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I heard it's like, I'm pretty sure Tony Schiavone mentioned pretty much from the outset that we're going to have 21 competitors. There's 21 competitors in this match. Okay, but we ended at 8, right? And to me, it was just so obvious that this was not really booked with the end in mind. I think I mentioned this before to everybody here. The problem, obviously, that AEW has is they'll book a show, but there doesn't seem to be any thought given to, okay, then what, right? And we saw it on Saturday on Collision. Roddy Strong goes and complains to Tony, hey, I didn't get my turn in the match. I want my championship match. Okay, you get it on Dynamite. Okay, so he gets a shot. And even Brian Alvarez, when you have Brian Alvarez criticizing AEW to this level, risking whatever relationship business-wise he has with Dave Meltzer, you know that maybe you're not on, solid ground here with the way that you're thinking and going about, your matches here. Brian's like, the other 12 guys should be lined up at Tony's door. If we don't see that on Wednesday, what the hell are they doing? I mean, we don't know who those 12 guys are, but certainly there should be 12 other guys saying, hey, where's my shot? I don't know. Like, are they going to have another gauntlet for those 12 guys? Or like, what are they going to do? And it seems to me like I thought a little bit about this, and I think where this is going, unfortunately, I'm saying unfortunately for a reason when I say it. I haven't seen anybody else say this yet, but I'm just going to go out and say it. I think Tony is going to make the desperate move of making Ospreay his champion so that he can walk into Wembley at All In as the champion. And I think and if it were done the right way for the right reasons, that could go over very well. I think this is a move made out of desperation. That's my feeling on it. I'd like to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, you know what? To your point about like Roger Strong just walking in and getting that title shot. It really takes away, and they started doing it when they were trying to really heat up the storyline with Samoa Joe, Swerve, and Paige, and they were all, you can't have guys going, I'm the number one contender, I'm the number one contender. Oh yeah, let's have a Texas death match to figure that out. And then goes, and then Hook goes, I want a title shot. All right, next week.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so anything, if you're going to have a champion fight in between the big matches, make it a non-title match. There's no need.
That comes with its own set of problems, right? I mean, you get an eliminator matches for the hell of it or whatever.
Oh, I hate eliminator matches.
Yeah, me too.
But like, you know what I mean? Again, if they want to show like this match with Roderick should be a non-title match, right? So, hey, I agree. It feels like they're rushing this. Yeah. In fact, yeah, agreed there with the comments there. But yeah, so I don't know if you guys agree.
That's Connor, by the way, that's making that comment.
Yeah, that's Connor. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Connor, what's up, buddy? So yeah, I that's the part. So I agree with you with that. I get it. They were trying to, they wanted obviously Ospreay to have the championship match, and this was the easiest way to just throw it in there to help promote the main event, right? Okay, it's crazy match, and oh my God, Ospreay wins. Oh, right. I think it was pretty obvious. It was just a setup, right? Kind
short-sighted,
yeah. Right. So just making sure that he was in that title match for that.
Yep.
I just wanted to, I guess, touch on some of these guys that have come in, and we kind of talked briefly, and your take on it, with like bringing in Leo Rush, for example. He comes in and he's just, it's kind of like a circus act, right? It's like, boom, he's crazy. You haven't seen him in a while. But you all, remember him from WWE. Remember him from when he was here earlier, and then he went away. And then we're seeing guys like the high flyers, like Johnny TV coming back, right? Where he changed. He decided not to use Johnny Elite just because there's the Elite team. But you see a lot of these guys, like the New Japan guys, just kind of come in. They kind of do some guest spots. So how do we like that as fans of AEW? Do you guys like seeing that, where you just kind of get a talent, like all of a sudden, like a Leo Rush is kind of thrown into like a main event match, right? Or Johnny TV getting some good matches. How do you guys feel about that? Guys are kind of thrown into, maybe haven't seen it in a while. Does it take away from the other guys? Does it take away from storylines? Or do you guys just like the variety and entertainment? It's a good match. It's a good match.
I think.
Personally,
go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
My bad. Personally, I just enjoy stuff on a very surface level. So it's fun for me. I'm a wrestling fan. That's what I want, is to turn it on and have an escape and not overthink what I'm watching. And I love spot monkeys. I'm not gonna lie, always have. Like I said recently, I came back because the Young Bucks made me pop 3-4 times in PWG in one match. And I'm like, what the heck are these guys doing? They're going 100 miles an hour, move after move after move. I understand a lot of people like that style of wrestling, and that's fine. But that's what Leo represents to me. He is a kind of I hate making this argument because I hate body. What's the word I'm looking for? The idea that everybody has to be big, but he really is undersized to the point that it's really hard to believe he's hurting people. But as long as it's booked properly, I've always enjoyed his work. He's really good on the mic. I enjoy his in-ring work. I have no problems with him doing these kinds of spots. As far as the size of the roster, they always had a mentality at the beginning that he never followed through on. I think there's a very easy way to handle everybody, and for some reason nobody does it. And for me, really quick is to implement an off season, and I don't mean off TV. I mean you schedule a group of people off of TV for 3 months, and you elevate other people into the main card, and you cycle through. because A, fans need to miss wrestlers, and B, they need to recover anyway. So, like, I don't know, that's a slam dunk to me. Bring these guys in, let other guys rest, but again, they got to cycle the other guys back. So then we have multiple AEW storylines to follow, and the guys that we quote unquote fell in love with over the last 5 years to be the stars.
Yeah, I see. I kind of agree with Tank here about cycling in people and giving us different variety on the show. I mean, we get it. I mean, we got it on Dynamite. You know, we got it on Collision of guys you don't see rarely, but they put them on there. You know, like a Johnny TV versus Claudio. You know, and which I thoroughly enjoyed. I enjoyed that match. I think that was one of Johnny's best matches to date coming to AEW. And seeing someone like a Leo Rush coming in, for a crazy spot, and seeing some of these CMLL guys in. But again, you have to cycle in some of the guys that you have on that roster onto your shows. Give us variety. I'll give you guys an example. Monday night, on Raw last night, I believe there were at least 6 or 7 segments that all involved the Judgment Day. The whole show. It's like, look, we get it. You could put those people in 2 segments. We get it. They're part of the roster. They're there. They're that dominant kind of a faction. We get it. We don't need to see them 7, 8 times throughout the show. Give us something different. Mm-hmm. With AEW, they do that, but they also fall back into that whole line of bloated roster, like WWE. You have a bloated roster, and you're not utilizing a lot of your roster. You're using the same people every week, instead of using the people that you haven't used. AEW does the same. I say this week in and week out in our group chats and just in general. I love all pro wrestling. I'm a big fan of it all. I don't hate any promotion. I enjoy every promotion that's out there, even the little guys. I love the fact that people are out there doing what they love to do. It doesn't matter if it's in front of 10 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people. They're doing what they love to do, and I support that. But when you have companies that have rosters that are bloated and you're not utilizing your talent, like Tank said, intermingle them every week, And again, we talk about it that pro wrestling is a very cutthroat industry where you have to be like, oh, match card, you top 10. Here's the 10 matches. If your name's on it, you made the card. When you got a roster of 50 people, or 60 people, and you're like, sorry, we got to put you somewhere else. You didn't make the card this week. They always say card subject to change. So you never know. But again, I kind of see where Tank's going. I do love the sporadic appearances from certain guys on AEW. But if you start including more of your roster and getting those guys built up, I think as wrestling fans, we'd be a whole lot happier.
True. Hamer?
I watch wrestling for the stories primarily. I appreciate the athleticism and whatnot, but I don't watch primarily for that. I really watch because I want something to care about. WWE has done a much better job recently than AEW as far as that goes. Interesting, you mentioned last night, Adam, about the Judgment Day being all through the thing, and I thought about that. I'm like, boy, we're seeing way too much of them. But I realize that it's because that's the A story in WWE right now, right? They overdid it. They didn't have to do it that way. I agree. This was not a good job. They've done a much better job over the last 6 months of kind of balancing that, I feel. Some people, your mileage may vary. I agree that it's great. You got to use your roster. You got to cycle some people in and out. WWE is doing it kind of out of necessity, right? Okay, Becky, Seth, go home for 6 months. It's fine. We'll give Lyra Valkyria a chance, and we'll give some other people a chance. I think it has to play out. It hasn't played out fully yet. I want to see some of these people step up and show and make me care. Make me care about you. It's great that Leo Rush showed up. He did some athletic stuff. Do I care about him? Not yet. Do I care about these CMLL guys? Not yet. Show me something,
But they're only here for the Forbidden Door build.
What's that?
They're only here for the Forbidden Door build. You're not supposed to. They're going to be gone in a week.
I kind of know that, and that's why I'm like, okay, so why should I invest in?
You shouldn't.
Yeah, that's it. And it's like, and unfortunately,
but there's nothing wrong with that.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I'm going to throw this out there because it's something that I've been thinking about. You know, I think a lot of people are just watching wrestling as porn. You know,
You know what? I'll be honest, Hammer, that's not a bad assumption.
But I think you guys understand what I mean. And I'm not judging. I'm saying, you know what? That's fine. As Tank said, you like the spots, you like this, you like that. That's great. That's cool. That's fine. Like what you like. I'm not judging. But, you know, if what you're doing, let's call a spade, you're watching two or more people be physical with each other. And if you say, well, I don't care why they're doing it, or I don't even necessarily care who they are, but I want that dopamine hit. And as soon as it's done, okay, give me the next one. Okay, I'm not judging you, but that's not why I watch, you know, and that's just me. And I think the majority of people don't watch that way. But if you do, that's fine. I'm not judging.
I'm not judging either, but all I'm saying is when you're talking about like wanting to invest in a storyline, when you know, because it's the forbidden door, build.
I get it.
So there isn't time to invest into these characters.
I agree with you. Yeah.
So
and
enjoy the porn. Enjoy the porn right now,
Sure.
and then invest in the storylines when you're given the storylines.
Okay.
But you can't just be like,
cool.
you have to give me a storyline for a short-term build. It doesn't make sense at that point.
Different strokes for everybody else, you know. I don't think anybody here amongst this group that we are, four of us, are big fans of Bianca Belair, right? It's not for us, right? It's for the African American woman who was in Las Vegas, you know, at the press conference dancing with her phone and paid money to be there, right? It's for her. It's for that. It's different for everybody, and that's fine. I just don't like it when people on the internet and the IWC make it into something that it isn't. Like, no, you have to like what I like. And I'm sure, you know, present company here, we don't do that. And everybody.
Well, for sure. Again, I'm not saying you have to like it, but I'm just saying like the logic of I need to invest in these wrestlers when you were told from the beginning, don't invest. It's a short-term build. It's forbidden door. They're going to be gone.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
That's the only point I'm trying to make.
Cool.
Yeah, no, very both valid points, and I think you need that. I think AEW, for the most part, has a pretty good balance with that. They've introduced, for me, you know, being a classic or longtime WWE fan, coming over to become an AEW fan. I was never exposed to any of the Mexican really wrestling. I wasn't really interested. New Japan wrestling, I wasn't really interested. But they were able to introduce me to a whole slew of wrestlers that I would never have, you know, looked into or known about. But again, I can see from them when they walk in the arena, there obviously is an educated crowd with AEW, because sometimes the crowd explodes and I'm like, who is this guy? Even I'm still saying, who's this guy? But you hear there's a lot of chants. There's a lot of these New Japan guys, right? Like I get it with the internet and exposure to it, and you can look up anything at any time now and watch everything, right? So I guess now more than ever, you can be the most educated and most critical wrestling fan at any point in time because of the access to all media, past, right, and present, which is great. Like, right, kind of you said, if you're a wrestling fan, there's everything that's out there. Now it's funny, I guess, with your comparison to porn, what I kind of thought about was, because I've been watching some of the old stuff, like the rivalries, especially the WWE stuff they're bringing up from the Attitude Era. And I'm like, oh my God, some of these storylines are like cheesy porn storylines. Like from the storyline, like it's so TNA, it's so over the top. I'm like, it's so brutal, right? Like the Val Venus, you know, type of, you know, period of time, right? Like that kind of stuff, right? So I'm like, thank God, I'm so glad that era is over in that regard. But yeah,
that's overt porn. I'm talking about, you know, the porn mindset, I suppose. But regardless,
yeah, like food porn, wrestling porn, like I get you.
Right, something that you're obsessive compulsive about.
Subjective. That's basically, it's subjective.
It is very subjective, yeah. Right. But again, and again, like I said, not judging, but if all you're looking for is those dopamine hits, okay. But, you know, that doesn't seem to be what the majority of people tune in for.
I want to kind of clean this up a little bit, Matt, before we move on to the next topic.
I
kind of understand, because we talk about it all the time about, you know, Amer brought it up about, you know, some people like this, some people like that. Don't tell me to like this. So it's that it's subjective. It's just subjective, and it's the tribalism, and it's the IWC. Yep. I think as part of a fandom group, I think the 2 or 3 groups I can put in, one of them at least are pro wrestling fans, are the most toxic and fickle fan base I have ever dealt with, whether it's on the boards that I do on Facebook or in like some of the news, the pages, the wrestling websites with the news. They are the most fickle and toxic fans outside of Star Wars fans.
Mm-hmm.
and sports fans. I mean, it's crazy. But to clean it up, no, I kind of agree with everybody here on this topic. Is if anybody knows our group and our shows, everybody knows that I am the one person in our group that hates, loathes tribalism and toxic fans. Like I post on groups, I'm just a wrestling fan, just enjoy the stuff. So there you go, Matt.
Agreed. You know what? I guess one of the best sayings I ever heard was like, nobody hates wrestling more than wrestling fans.
Correct.
Right? And that could be a flat to your point. I've also heard it yet. Nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
Star Wars fans, yeah.
Right? So again, I'm both.
Don't get them started on the prequels. Absolutely.
You know, the one thing I learned, I think I've alluded to this, and I'll just say this very, very quickly because I know we want to move on. Just the brief amount of time I spent actually seriously thinking about booking wrestling when I had the brief stint around WrestleMania 18, I realized very quickly, wrestling fans want every show to be perfect and then the next one to be better. Mm-hmm. That's what it really boils down to.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's what's happening. And kind of like your point, like when you bring up the dopamine hit, and you can relate that. And actually, I know we've talked about it in the past. It's like we're like, oh, really? Again, like it's having to. How many times are we going to see thumbtacks this year? How many times are we just going to see like barbed wire or just like things that can really hurt you? That are bringing it all the time. And, like, again, do we need Jericho bringing out the dice, hockey pucks? Everyone's landing on chairs. Like, it's getting to the point, again, that's, like you said, that fans are just going to keep on expecting. And then the guys who are trying to get their name, they need to be on the show. They're going to start doing more and more extreme things just to get noticed. I mean, we can't have... I mean, what do they chant? What they chant? Like Adam, you said when with Darby, like people
please help Darby. They were chanting, "Please help Darby" at the pay-per-view. They were like, "Please help Darby," because he was just hanging upside down.
Yeah, with Martha Hart sitting in the back.
Yeah,
great job.
Like when fans are starting to chant like, "Please be careful," like it's getting to the point. Like it's like, okay, like we get your extreme, man, but could you just not kill yourself? And we're seeing that. I mean, all the clips I'm seeing these days, like the things that guys are willing to do, it's getting so extreme. And some of these guys are still really amateurs that are trying to do this. And I've seen some really bad flips in the guys' way they land on their neck and their head.
Osprey at the pay-per-view. I thought in the first 5 minutes we had a casualty.
Osprey. He's pointing at his arm. Whenever he points at things now, I'm like,
oh boy.
It's really believable that he could be hurt because of the way he wrestles. So I don't know if it's always a work, but he's like, oh my God, like he's making this stuff. I'm like, oh fuck, did he really do something to his arm? Because again, you could really believe that he would do something to his arm because he's crazy moves. Like I just hope it doesn't get to I just hope it doesn't get to the point where like any new young wrestlers coming up feel they need to be as extreme as possible, and they're actually going to learn. They're going to lose the whole grappling wrestling, the way it started, to learn the basics, right? They just want to. It's like as a DJ, it's like I DJ'd on turntables, right? I had records. But, it's like a new guy coming in going, I want to be a DJ. And I'm just going to jump right into like the most extreme. I'm going to buy the biggest extreme of digital equipment. And I'm going to become a DJ without kind of learning the basics, behind everything. Right. Or they feel like that's what they need to do. There's no, the basis of what wrestling is. And I'm hoping that it doesn't get lost because everyone just wants to be extreme. And it's just all going to be spot. Oh, no. Serious injury. Oh, no. Oh, he's actually dead. Oh, no. Right. Because I think that's where we're going. With how extreme things are. I don't know if you guys
remember a few weeks ago with the Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale, right? On Collision, they had like an extreme rules match. Why? Those girls, the first thing I said is these girls are good enough that they don't need to have a gimmick match. But I think they feel that, hey, let's have a gimmick match to really show. No, you don't need to, but they feel that they need to.
Agreed. You need to keep things special.
Yeah.
Right. Because again, you know, like tables and chairs, like a TLC match, went from being special to every time that they saw certain guys, we want tables, right? And it's like, here we go, we got to give them tables because you set the bar gets higher and higher and higher, and guys get hurt, right?
That's right.
So, if you're good to move on, I guess you got, unless anyone has any comments on that, but you know, just actually wanted to bring up Kyle O'Reilly. You know, we always knew he was a great talent. He was out obviously with injury for quite a while. He came back. I think as fans were kind of wondering where he was going to fit in. He didn't quite seem like himself. Where is he going? But I felt like as soon as he cut his hair back to his old haircut style, because he kind of let it go a bit bushy in the beard, he had a couple of phenomenal matches with, with Malachi Black and with the Will Ospreay. 2 back-to-back matches, which I thought were amazing. Oh, sorry, no, he did 3 because he actually he fought Edge for the title, and that was a great match. So he has had 3 big matches with 3 of the top guys in the company, which I don't know if that speaks volumes about how people believe in him, because all those top guys are like, hell yeah, give me a match with Kyle O'Reilly, and also Tony Khan. But I think he's just been phenomenal, and he's just been, again, showing he could, go toe to toe with anyone in the company, and he can make them look good just as well as they can make him look good. I loved it. I thought it was a great match. And I'm still a big gun. I really still appreciate when guys acknowledge each other at the end of the match. And he was like, he couldn't praise and thank Will Ospreay enough for that match, and I love that. I love the bow. I love the handshake. I love the hug, because that to me is that competitive drive. And that's a sincere, because these guys know what it's like to work at that level, or to work with someone at a level who elevates them, right? So you can really see the appreciation. I thought, so I'm excited after seeing the 3 big matches from Kyle O'Reilly. He looks really comfortable. You know what I mean? I know there's a bit of ring rust. He's coming back from an injury. I'm sure it plays in the back of your head constantly, but he looks great. Adam, what your thoughts on O'Reilly?
Yeah, I'm gonna add a 4th match to that. His title match against Roderick too.
Right.
I think that was a really good match as well. Just because those 2 guys have worked together for a long time, and I think that's where you see it, where you say you love the sportsmanship at the end of the matches he has with bowing. I think it just comes from the road that all these guys have been on together, because a lot of people don't know, but a lot of these guys might have worked with each other outside of other promotions, and so they're just showing their respect of, hey, now we're doing it on a bigger stage, in front of a TV audience. And so, but it's also is that ring respect of, you've got talent, I've got talent, we're going to put on a good match, no matter how much time we have. And I agree with you. I think since he's gotten back from a serious neck injury, by the way, since coming back and been putting on a couple of good matches, I think he's starting to get back into his own. I like the fact that he cut his hair and he trimmed the beard a little bit. He still has it, but he's cleaned up a little bit from his groggy bags under the eyes look when he returned at Revolution. And so I think that was really good. I think that he changed his look that way. And so I do like the fact that they're putting him in these big time matches against some of these big name guys. And I see something big coming for Kyle O'Reilly, whether it's a singles title somewhere or, just a big, big feud that's going to last for a while. And so I think right now there's still a little more time for him to get back into the rhythm of things. But these are the right matches to put him into, with the big names like an Ospreay, like a Copeland, like a Malachi Black, like a Roderick Strong. These are guys that they can work off of each other, and they're vets, and they know what they're doing, and they can go circles around each other and put on a hell of a match again, regardless of what the time limit is on their match. So I'm actually very excited to see where Kyle O'Reilly goes, because I've been impressed with his matches the last couple of pay-per-views as well, and even some of his TV appearances. So I'm really excited to see him on his singles run right now.
I just want to jump in. I think the way they're building him up, and once Adam Cole is done with MJF, I think the way those guys, because they had a really good run together and against each other in NXT, and we haven't seen that on this level. So I think if those guys are back at their peaks, they could put on a really good run together again, like they have, because they've got that experience. So I think an Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly feud could really work as well. on this level. So I think, and I think the AEW crowd hasn't seen what they can do together.
I mean, that's another thing is not only you bring in Adam Cole, you bring in Roddy Strong, and if they're feeling ballsy, depending on their relationship, I know that it might be able to mend, but you maybe bring back a Bobby Fish, and see if you can get all four of those guys together. I mean, I'm telling you right now, Undisputed, the Undisputed was a hit in NXT Black and Gold. I can't explain it any better between them and then DIY, like. At that time with those groups and the wrestlers they had, they were hot commodity. So having them back together in AEW would be huge. Because when Roddy came over, Bobby was already gone and Kyle was on the shelf. So as soon as Roddy came over, all he had was him and Adam Cole. They didn't really have the whole Undisputed group with each other. So I kind of want to see if that can happen again.
Me too. Guys, what do you think? Emer?
Okay, I'll go. I wasn't really following wrestling as closely as I was when those guys were in NXT, and I certainly really wasn't following NXT at the time. So I really don't have the depth of knowledge of the history that you guys do. I'm a little bit wary of the whole idea of recreating a faction like that. It would be cool, but for how long? Like the way that isn't that always the way it seems to go in AEW and also a lot of the time in WWE? Don't get me started on the whole Howdy Six thing, which is, gosh, that's a whole other topic for another time. But it'll be cool and it'll get a pop. And then, for a week or two, they might do some stuff together, but then, it's just going to go like this. And I don't, historically, AEW is not able to sustain any momentum with that kind of thing, unfortunately. So if I'm Kyle O'Reilly, I want to stay where I am and say, no, I want to be a single and I'll be your Shinsuke Nakamura and I'll make all of these guys look good for a while. And a time will come where, let's see what happens. That's what I would do. That's my take on it. Okay. But I have been very, very impressed with what I've seen of him in the matches for sure. My gosh, that guy, he's really good.
100%. Tank?
To be honest, I don't have strong thoughts on this one.
Cool. No, all good. And kind of speaking of Adam Cole, right? So we got introduced to MJF that came back and kind of rekindled that rivalry. So when are we going to start seeing this? I mean, is there any plans? Is it this week? Are they going to start doing the promos again? Are they going to have like this a rematch at Forbidden Door between these two? Ad, what are your thoughts on kind of what's kind of happening next with this?
Well, based on MJF's promo from the pay-per-view, I don't know because he said he's coming for everybody. His character's changed. If you notice my name now, it's called the Bearded Wolf of Wrestling. Apparently, that's what MJF is going by now. AEW is now calling him the Wolf of Wrestling. He's literally changed his whole persona. Mm-hmm. Coming back in like his Triple H inspired jacket and everything like that. I think what I could see is MJF kind of putting his Adam Cole thing in the back burner just because he's missed some time and there's a lot of things that have changed since he's been on the shelf with injury. And I guarantee you he's making bank right now with his checks. So I think what they're gearing him up for is maybe not a run at the title again, but making him probably one of the biggest babyface non-champions in promotion history. I mean, this guy, I think he's going to change his style up in the ring as well. We'll have to see what happens with that. I mean, before in the ring, he's got the heelish where it's like, I run away from everything. You can't catch. I got these guys in front of me. Like, I'll cheat. I still think he'll put some of the heelish stuff in with the ring and all that, but he's going to wrestle you. I think he's going to change his style where he's like, I'm going to be wrestling you in the ring now. I'm going to be a technician in this ring right now. Because, again, we talk about the MJF's love for the sport and his knowledge of the history of the sport. he's going to go back to old school kind of stuff. I'm going to get you down to the ground. I'm going to put you in headlocks on the mat. I'm going to suplex you, belly to back suplex. I'm going to put in submissions on you. I'm going to run circles around you. I honestly think this is the route we're going to go with MJF. Now, with that, if that goes back into a feud with Adam Cole, I'm not sure. It seems like he just wants to get after everybody. Literally, I do think we'll get that story with Adam Cole. Maybe we get it tomorrow where Adam Cole comes out and he said he's pissed that, MJF came back and stole his spotlight, and we kind of build to that because I'm not sure if Adam Cole is still 100% yet with that ankle. I mean, he's walking on it, but to be physical in the ring yet, to do moves and, the Panama Sunrise and all that stuff, don't know. He took a little nut shot at the pay-per-view. That was as far as physical as he gotten so far. So we don't know.
He got a brain buster done to him though, right? Remember MJF and he almost did a brain.
Yeah,
he did. You're right. Yeah, you're right. He did. But again, that it had nothing to do with his ankle. It was all upper body kind of stuff. So there wasn't much pressure on his ankle. Yeah. So still, it's like, are they doing that to kind of give Adam Cole more time, kind of heal up 100% and then get back to it? But again, that's me going back to what I said earlier about we got to trust the process with this story. But as for one, I am very excited to see our scumbag MJF back in an AEW ring.
No, agreed. Emer, any thoughts on MJF or the Cole potential?
Yeah, I agree with Adam that we have to see how it plays out. I still really do feel that the way that things are headed is that, from what I've read, and of course you can't trust a lot of what you read, Adam Cole isn't ready to come back yet. And I think you got to, as I said, I feel that, I don't want to necessarily attribute the motives to it, but I think Tony is looking for Ospreay and MJF at All In. And I think he feels I got to put the title back on MJF. Or whatever, put him in that picture with Ospreay because those are the two guys that I've got that, he's still fighting an uphill battle. I feel that's a whole other topic to get his TV rights renewed. And those are the sorts of things that he's going to have to pull out. Can I just point out one thing? I don't want to distract from what we're talking about. I just saw this come up on my feed because we were talking about Wheeler Yuta earlier. It's announced for tomorrow. BCC against CMLL Stars. So Claudio, Wheeler Yuta, Danielson, and Moxley against Magnus. I don't know a lot of these guys. Magnus, Volador Jr., Rugido, and Esfinge.
Volador, you're gonna love that guy. That guy, you're gonna love that guy. That guy's great. Magnus is really good too.
Okay, looking forward to seeing the match for the athleticism, and I think Tank is probably, even though he doesn't look it, probably excited about that.
He's excited.
Yeah, so really quickly, sorry?
Dopamine hit. There, it's coming. Anyway.
I'm a huge MJF guy. I have faith that however they're going to go with it, it's going to work out. Like, obviously, this Devil storyline didn't work out. And that was the first, real, major smudge, in all of his angles. They've all been great. So, I don't mind him staying away from Cole. Because, it feels like, okay, so obviously this Monet return hasn't been handled the greatest. But they had that, last piece of business. She got hurt against Willow. So, it almost felt like it wasn't the right time to, deal with that piece of business. Even though now she can move on to, bigger pastures. I think they needed something bigger off the top and not necessarily Willow. We'll give her flowers. She's great. I really do enjoy her. It's not that. Just I think I needed something bigger. And this is kind of like that, Adam is alluding to. I don't want him to see him come back and just finish off this piece of business. Just it's already done. It's been done. Let's just move on to the next bit.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see kind of if they kind of wrap up this storyline with Adam Cole, which seems to be going. It's because of the injuries to do though. It seems like this is an unfinished storyline for 2 years. So you're right. I think you do need to kind of do it up, do a nice big finale match, and then let them move on to different storylines. So that'd be good. But just again, before I guess maybe the last topic to bring up is because again we saw that Adam Copeland trying to do a move off the top of the steel cage at the last pay-per-view, which again resulted in breaking his ankle. That was a great match. We got to see Gangrel come back, which was awesome. Love to see a little bit of the Brood reunions. That was great. But we got, because of that obviously now has created a soon-to-be tournament swimming for the vacant TNT title. We saw that the Elite tried to pull one over and just put it right onto Jack Perry. But again, we've got a savior that's been assigned. What's his name again? It's
Christopher Daniels.
Christopher Daniels, right? Christopher Daniels. So,
Fallen
which is
Angel.
kind of, yeah, it's kind of nice to see him. Actually, they're utilizing him in a position, right, instead of just kind of wasting him. So that's kind of nice. But so this is leading to a tournament that'll be coming up. So, which it kind of opens things up, right? That we weren't expecting. We thought, again, all that we were talking about is Adam Copeland's going to be, holding the title for a while and fighting champion, and all of a sudden, boom, we found ourselves with an injury and a vacant title, which opens it up for a tournament. So who do we see, based on kind of what's happening? I know they haven't, I don't think they've announced who is actually in the tournament yet, but who do we see as a real possibility based on what we're seeing now that, now that Adam's out of the role, this would be a good time to completely move it over and put it on this guy. Is there a couple of guys that you see, Adam, that you say, I could see them putting it on the title, one of these guys?
Before my answer, Connor wanted to chime in. He would like to see Pac with the title.
It's a good choice.
It's a good choice.
It's a really good choice. I think it would be good. For me, my hope is still up. As much as we just had a heel champion transition to a face champion, I'd like to transition back to a heel. And all honesty, I think the person that needs it the most right now and could be beneficial, especially with the mouthpiece he has, Konosuke. I think having Takesha winning that title and have Don Callis brag about having a champion in his family, and obviously we're still playing the whole sides of, is Ospreay still part of the Don Callis family? Is he not? We haven't even figured that out yet. So it could almost be like Don Callis being like, I have a champion now in my family, a fighting champion in Takesha. And, I don't need a Will Ospreay. Maybe I have my first son here. That can lead to tension with Will Ospreay and the Don Callis family. There's a story there. But I do want to see Takesha. I honestly think it'll be beneficial for him too, because he's had so many good matches, but no payoff as far as like an individual title or anything like that. I want to see him have a title. Obviously, you got Kyle Fletcher, but he's barely, he's over in the Ring of Honor and everything like that. And that's another thing. Don could be like, I have multiple champions in my family. He could get that heelish voice of, you guys can try to beat us. We're a family of champions, like just adding more to the character. And so, but I think that's it too, because you also got to build a strong face to have that chase for that TNT title against Takesha. So I'm going to go Takesha.
Aimer, any thoughts?
That is a really, really good choice. I think it definitely makes sense to, I mean, I've made it very, very clear. I want it to be part of a story, and I like the story that Adam told. Obviously we heard some rumblings from Takeshita, and, depending on how you feel about AEW overall, I guess a lot of people are saying, oh, it's a work, or okay, maybe it's real. I kind of feel it's a little bit in the middle. He's obviously not had the greatest experience. This could help. I'm not sure exactly what he's looking to get out of AEW overall as part of his career. I think Takesha would be great. I think Pac would also be a really, really good choice. I'd like both of those. And I'm looking forward to what the tournament is going to be. It will be interesting. Nothing has been announced as far as I can tell.
No, it will be interesting. Tank, any take on?
Yeah, well, first off, I don't mind them doing the big spots at the pay-per-views as long as they're saving them for the pay-per-views and it's not done at nauseum every show like you guys are alluded to. So I didn't mind Edge taking that bump, although that was one of the dumbest bumps I've ever seen. I don't know what Edge was doing. I don't know if he got nervous. I don't know if he got freaked out. I don't know if he half slipped off the top or something. Because obviously we all know you never go 12-6. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. It made me think of, you guys remember that John Danzig spot when he was trying to protect Lexi Nose.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't remember the other guy's name who took it. He was in AEW too. He was one of the Joey.
Joey Janela.
There it is.
It was Joey Janela. Yeah, it was Joey. It was that Joey Janela spot.
To protect Janela, he took everything feet first, and he just poorly tore apart like all of his legs. So like as soon as I saw Edge coming down, I'm like, oh no, this is not good. There's no way this guy isn't hurt. But as for the actual belt itself, we were just talking about him. How about Kyle O'Reilly? But I also don't mind the Takeshi. I always want to say his name rudely, but him, I don't mind him either.
So I actually, as we were talking here, I mean, Takeshita makes sense, but I actually think I could really see it on Malachi Black. I think if anyone you're talking about who would deserve it, who needs a belt, there's a lot of talk. I think we even mentioned that he should have been. I mean, he did have he fought for the belt in a friggin' steel cage, so it's not far fetched that he could have won, and maybe people feel that he should have won. So I can see him being definitely a top contender for that. Maybe even even a Roderick Strong. I don't know if it's too soon because he just dropped that belt too quick. But again, he's good for a belt too. But I kind of tend to getting a belt into the Don Callis family. Now I'm gonna ask you guys, are we? Is it over the fact that we're not going to see a belt on, say, Bryan Danielson? Does he need a belt?
No.
Are we going to see another belt on Claudio? Could Claudio? I think Claudio could run with a TNT title. I mean, as well.
Yeah. So your difference on that is Claudio can still possibly run with a belt with Bryanson because of all the injuries he's got, and more so where he's on that leadership role now. He wants to be a guide. I think Claudio's still got maybe a couple of years left in him in the ring. Even though he's up there in age 2, but he could still go. So it's not far-fetched to think that Claudio can win the title and move along with it. But with Bryan, I think this more so is more of a swan song of, I don't need a belt. That's for other guys to kind of elevate it with either big names or a young guy that deserves it. I think he's at that level that even with you saying, I think a Claudio could take the belt, run with it, and be kind of like an Adam Copeland for that TNT or a Christian for that TNT title. One of these guys that are a big-time veteran can carry that, and he still haven't held. I just mentioned it earlier, his match with Johnny TV on Collision, I enjoyed. Him and Johnny meshed so well. So I'm like, I could see someone like a Claudio have great matches with the TNT title. So it's not far off with that.
Agreed. I was just going to. There's one other title that I wanted to bring up, and I totally went blank on the next what I was going to say there. Actually, I was going to ask you guys, what are your thoughts? Do you like the direction? I guess before we kind of wrap up, we've got a couple minutes here. Is the Elite kind of? I know you guys were talking about some of the WWE storylines where they'll run with one storyline and it kind of takes over the show. Are we running into that? I mean, WCW had that with NWO. I kind of feel they're kind of emulating that a little bit because they feel they can run the show and do anything they want. Do you think we're going to run into it a little bit, though? Is it going to be overkill? Hey, Cotter.
Hey.
So I just want to get your thoughts. Do we like what's happening with the Elite right now? Do we like where it's going, or do we feel are we going to get tired of it too soon? What do you guys think? I guess Connor, since you just hopped on, if you have any thoughts on the Elite, where it's going, and if you feel it might get a bit too tiresome too quickly.
Well, sorry for being on late. I had a few things to do, but I wanted to come on here, even just for a little bit. Great to see you back, Tank. I've been listening to some of your guys' stuff. It's been really enjoyable to watch. But the Elite stuff, I think the Double or Nothing stuff was pretty good. But I thought they brought Tony back too soon, because now, they can't really make any calls. No, they EVP. So basically, everything Tony says goes is Tony's not saying it. He's just telling Daniels what to say. So everything Daniels saying is coming from Tony, basically. I feel like maybe they should have waited to bring him back on TV just to give them more of a give them more heat as a heel faction. Yeah, it's been all right. Not some of the stuff I enjoy really. I think it's definitely. I thought they are putting in effort, trying to do something, trying to get sales up, and trying to get ratings up. I think they're trying, but I don't think it's really affecting anything really. But personally, it's been all right.
Adam, what do you how do you feel about where the direction, or
Yeah,
are you part of it yet?
Double or Nothing was really good. Again, I think the stuff with Tony Khan is kind of cheesy. I think right now, bringing him back in that spot of Jack Perry, bringing him out on stage, again, a callback to the whole, all in kind of I feared for my life kind of thing. And I think it was too soon, obviously, but that's a different opinion for a different show. But I did enjoy the Elite AEW match at Double or Nothing. I think it's a good route. I think the Elite did right by having them win, because now you've got this faction of we run this show, even though, Christopher Daniels is back. Like, no, you can't just give titles away. That's not how that works. It's almost like a story of battle of power for the company. And it's something interesting. Is it the best? Probably not, because WWE did it, or WWF did it a lot. WCW did it a lot. Mm-hmm. I mean, who remembers the storyline of GM between Vince, Shane, and Stone Cold battling for paperwork to control WWF? So, and then WCW which NWO group is running the show? Is it the Wolfpack or the Black and White? So it's kind of a callback to that with the Elite, the new Elite, as I like to call them, and the AEW powers that be. I feel like this is kind of culminating into something big. And again, I've said it multiple times. Amer has kind of said it with me, is you trusting the process and seeing where it goes, and hopefully it goes somewhere, because again, we always ask, okay, what's next? We want to know, well, where is this going next? They just beat Team AEW at Double or Nothing. What's next? Are they going to wrestle as a team at Forbidden Door? Are they going to wrestle individual matches at Forbidden Door? What's that? And then, maybe with the big show at Wembley again, maybe that's where the big payoff is, where, Tony has one representative and, the Elite puts their best representative, and whoever wins basically holds the power. I feel like that was supposed to happen with Kenny Omega, despite his health. I think Kenny Omega realistically probably should have been the one to step back and be like, here's what's happening at Forbidden Door. I'm wrestling one of you, or I'm going to get a partner and we're going to wrestle you, the Young Bucks. Whoever wins control of AEW. And the other team, their status as like the EVP, gone. You're no longer EVP. That could be that for All In, a big match for that. But again, you just got to trust the process and see where they go with this new Elite storyline.
Right. Amer,
yeah.
How are you feeling about this direction?
How I'm feeling about this, I'm torn about it. I'd like to think that they're going in the sort of direction that Adam has described, but I really can't help but feel that they really don't have an end in mind for this. And they're just kind of using it as like, oh, hey, this is a story, right? Well, no, they're really story beats, and you can put them together and make a coherent story if you're committed to that. And let's see how it plays out. So I give them credit for that. Great. I also think that the Elite are doing fantastic work in terms of trying to push the story forward and to be characters. Even from the get-go, once they started these characters, I appreciated what the Bucks were doing. I'm like, whoa, they're actually trying to be characters. That's good, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying they're going to win Oscars right away, but you got to start somewhere. That's fine. I didn't mind it. And Jack Perry so far has kind of been I at first I said, okay, I would rather him kind of open up and become a character, but you know what? Fine, he's not ready for that, maybe, right? He's not Luke Perry. He's not his dad. He can't be Dylan McKay. He can't be on 90210. Fine. That's not what he's made up for. Be that silent assassin or whatever. Okay, I'm all right with that. And but really, so far, the best of them has been Okada. He had me last week.
Mhm.
Remember when he did that thing? Oh my gosh, I'm so overcome with emotion. I got you. Right? I was like, okay, that was good. I like that.
The shut up, bitches.
Yeah. It was great. It was really, really great. And I'm a little sad that the fan. I feel that, and this is just a word that I'm going to use, I think that they've kind of poisoned the fan base in a sense that they don't expect stories and character out of these guys. And so the fans are kind of saying, what the hell is this? We don't want this. We want super kick parties. And that's such a shame because here's where you could turn the tide a little bit. I hope what I'm saying is coming across properly. You know, they're doing the character work, and I just feel that some of the fan base is kind of, you know, throwing it back up and saying, no, this is not what we want. But this is a sort of thing that could really bring AEW in a different and better direction, I feel. I hope it plays out in a positive way. Unfortunately, based on history, I think they're just seeing it as, let's do some cool things to get us to the next pay-per-view.
Right.
We'll see how it plays out.
Tank, any thoughts on this Elite?
So yeah, my experience from what I've seen as far as the IWC is concerned is like almost the complete opposite. Like, I'm glad that Amer actually said, like, these guys are actually trying to introduce new characters, and because they were stale. Everybody was saying they need to change stuff up, they need to change the presentation. The Young Bucks, they need to change like everything. So they did, and right away, at least in my experience, nothing but crapped on. When it comes to dealing with the CM Punk angle, and all I was reading was, you know what they really should do? They should turn this work into or shooting to a work, and let's build a character with it. They do it. Zach Perry's been nothing but shadow. And I honestly thought, as a face, he had way less. I was on this podcast. I don't know if Connor remembers. My flat out called him a charisma vacuum. He's got nothing. But at least as a heel, there's a little something.
Correct.
It's giving him something altogether. So there's times where I honestly feel like it doesn't matter what they do. Someone is just going to poop all over it. Because getting back to Adam's point about when we were discussing like fan bases in general, this is generally what happens when a fan base grows too large. And like I see it all the time with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Both voices are genuine, but both voices are also dissenting.
Yeah.
So it's just because there's too many. It's too widespread. You're never going to get everybody all on the same page at once. But again, like, I don't want to sit here and just blow smoke up their ass because I really, like, I love the Young Bucks. I've never hit it. But I think, again, they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing. And for whatever reason, they're pissing in the wind. And I don't know what the heck these guys are supposed to do.
Yeah.
Actually, win back the fan base.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of again conclude with you guys and your comments about where is it going. When you have them, you know, usually like a storyline like this would play out that they'd somehow lose their title as EVP and they just become regular wrestlers again. But you kind of know that's not going to happen. So how do you end this off where you kind of kill this storyline and then you just have them back in as a normal wrestling storylines as wrestlers? Because again, this whole EVP thing can't last forever because again, it's going to get very tired out, but they're not necessarily going to give up the title in reality. They're still going to be EVPs. So that's where it's going to be interesting where they, you know, because we'll always know that they're still the EVPs, but they'll, you know, just be back to regular Young Bucks at some point. Because again, it's going to get really stale in terms of this. So I guess we'll have to see how this plays out. And right. So, but you know, guys, it's as we wind down here for another week. I just want to let Adam. I know Adam's got his weekly show, but if Adam, if you'd like to give your show a plug and what ideas you have going on for this week.
Yeah. Well, before my show, make sure everybody tunes in tomorrow for live reaction to Dynamite. Should be a good show. Connor, for a fact, will be there, be doing the live reaction. As far as my show Thursday, we're going to be talking about feel good moments as fans growing up, and what moments kind of touched with us, and what we remember as childhood, and then how it compares to today's pro wrestling and how we feel with that.
Man, sounds like a good show. Every week sounds like a great show, and I know it is. And no, I'm sure it'll be great. And hopefully everyone gets a chance to tune in to that show. Either Connor's show tomorrow night for the live reaction, as well as Adam's show on Thursday. But gentlemen, it's always been a pleasure. It's always great to talk wrestling, all things wrestling. And Tank, it's good to see you again. Aimer, it's been a while, so it's good to see you back on. And Adam, of course, the bearded partner every week. It's great. And Connor, it's nice for you to jump on there at the end. So good to see you as well. But gentlemen, that'll wrap up the show for this week. It's been great. And I'm sure there'll be lots to talk about next week as well. So we'll do it all again next week. Thanks everybody for joining in, and make sure tell your friends and family, and please like and subscribe. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye, guys.